Okay, got it.
There
Okay.
it is.
So yes, so we have been, let me redo that. We have Vincent Orlek on, who is our social media guru from Plexus, and we're very honored to have him join us tonight. And he had some questions that some of you had asked on the team page that he's going to answer for us, and then we'll see how that goes and go through. If anybody has any other questions for him, we can also do that along the way. So, but Vincent, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Well, okay. First, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I always have fun on these calls when I can help you guys out with answering any questions you might have about all this social media stuff that's all over the place.
Exactly.
I'll start with this. Social media, it's not the be all and end all of your business. So don't freak out no matter what about it. People have been doing network marketing for decades before social media existed. However, we do live in a digital age and a social age, which I didn't really mean to say that, but it is a social age. And I don't know if you guys follow Direct Selling News online, that website, directsellingnews.com. But they've written a few articles about Plexus as well. They're kind of like the website, the go-to for news about the business, the industry, or one of the go-tos. And they just, for January 2016, they're basically their cover story, because it's a magazine and a website, is literally the social age. So that's probably why it was in my head. And it's a whole article about all about how social media relates to network marketing, how companies are doing things, and how network marketers are succeeding as a result of using social media, why it works, all that type of stuff. So it's a pretty interesting read. I don't know, not trying to be negative about it, but I don't know that any of what they're saying is super revolutionary. I think they're more just kind of detailing like why it's happening now. Because it's a natural fit, right? I mean, social media, the relationship building, the engagement, the connecting is all natural within the industry, within the business. I mean, that's how you succeed in the business. So it just makes sense that would be a good tool to use and offer good tools to use. So having said that, I mean, I got the questions that you sent over, Jeannie.
Okay.
Do
you want me to ask?
Yeah,
Vincent, and then you can.
Well, I mean, we could.
What do you?
Yeah, if you want to do that. I mean, I know the kind of the main overarching thing was like, how do you use social media? How do you use it for your business? That's a really open-ended, loaded question, because the platforms are also different. And Facebook, you don't use Facebook the same way you would use Twitter or LinkedIn or Pinterest or Snapchat. And like, when do you use a new platform? Facebook's been around for over 10 years now. Snapchat's been around for 3. And why would you use Snapchat? Why would you use Instagram? I think a lot of people just kind of get confused and overwhelmed by all the different options. I haven't even mentioned YouTube yet. Other live streaming apps, Google Hangouts. I mean, there's so much out there, so many different tools to use, that it can definitely get overwhelming. And it's that fear of, I know a lot of people are they're just afraid to stray away from Facebook. They don't want to try anything new because they don't know which one is going to make sense. What they don't want to waste their time, or they've tried a few and it hasn't worked for them because they tried it for a few days and they posted a couple things and it's just like not the way you would approach it. So, I mean, we won't be able to delve into all the specifics for all the platforms, but I think that kind of the approach, the strategy, the theme for the whole the whole industry, the social media aspect of things is essentially the same. It's about being genuine. It's about being authentic. And this is, I mean, you guys have heard this stuff a million times, I'm sure, but it's true. You know, that's why you hear it all the time. It's being you, and being you isn't, it's not always sharing a testimony. It's not always talking about the business opportunity or what you're selling right now, or how how like a product has helped you. Even though, you know, it has, and that's part of you, you just can't, that can't be all you ever talk about, you know. And honestly, at this point, the way the audiences are on these platforms, it really can't be most of what you talk about either, because people turn it off. They turn it off. And they can turn it off a lot easier now, you know, and people know how to turn these things off. So when they're on Facebook now, a lot of people really know more than just the basic level of, oh, I post, I like, comment, and share. People know if they don't like what they see, they can unfollow that person. They can not see posts from that person anymore. They know how to get around seeing posts that they don't want to see. So what you have to know is how to get around them knowing that. And the way to get around that, it's don't overthink it. It's not as hard as it seems. It's just, think about using, like, Facebook in particular. Think about using Facebook as if you were not an ambassador, let's say. How would you use Facebook just with your friends and family and whoever else you're connected to on there? What type of stuff would you post? What would you be talking about? Now, that being said, you also don't want to get too, you don't want to get argumentative. You know, not to say you don't want to put controversial things out there. I mean, people are going to say what they're going to say, especially right now, this next year, the political side of things. But you don't want to get into that war of words on social media, on really any social media channel, especially Facebook, though. You have to, because you're always representing yourself as a brand. Like you as an ambassador are Plexus. You're the company. So you're 24/7, you're representing the company, and the company is you. So whatever you do, people take that as Plexus is doing this. Yep. I get messages. In case some of you don't know, what I do is I manage all the social media channels for the company. So we have a Facebook page with almost 160,000 followers right now. We have Twitter accounts. We have an Instagram account. We have a Pinterest account, LinkedIn page, Google Plus. Even we've still got that. A blog, YouTube channel, of course, and daily. One of my jobs is to manage these accounts and see what people are saying. There's messages that come through the page, to the Facebook page, and sometimes the messages are for people that are not ambassadors. They're not customers. They're just complaining, and they're complaining about an interaction that they had with an ambassador. That gets sent into us. So you have to be aware of that as an ambassador. You have to be aware that people, they may have even started it and instigated it and egged it on just to say that they can then report you to whatever company you work for. I mean, it may be something that they like to do, and they do it every day to someone different with a different company. Like, who knows? There's these things called trolls out there, if you haven't heard that word, but trolls are people that like to start fights, essentially, on social media, online, start arguments, make people mad, with posting things that you're not going to agree with. It's their purpose in life. That's what they like to do online. They have nothing better to do. And I get those messages. And when we get those messages, people take screenshots and they send them in, and they're like, it details the conversation, or it details a part of the conversation that is detrimental to the ambassador. Now we go and contact the ambassador, of course, and research it and everything. It's not like you're fired from Plexus or anything just immediately. I mean, it's sent to compliance. We look at that. But, and not to get off topic, but you just have to be careful, because you're always representing the company and yourself as the brand. That's a huge thing to remember. If someone's trying to get your goat, you got to be the better person. Walk that higher ground and just walk away. And what you can do that will make it a little bit easier is whatever post it's on, say it's on Facebook, there's a little arrow on the top. You click on the arrow on the top of the post. You can click turn off notifications for this post. And then when you go away from that page, you're never going to see that person responded or anything else that they wrote on that post again, unless you specifically go back to that. So that's that's what I do. I mean, I'm online all the time too, even just personally. And if someone's kind of annoying me, I rather than get crazy and argue back and forth, I just kind of like leave it alone, and you got to recognize that situation.
Cool. Good tips, Vincent. Love it.
Let's see. So we were talking about, I know some people asked about kind of strategy and when to post, how many times to post, that sort of a thing. There's not really, I wouldn't say that there's one thing that applies to everybody. You really have to find it for yourself. You really have to discover what's going to work for you. It might be what works for you might be different than what works for someone else, or what's not working for your team may work for you. There's not really, I would hesitate to say that there's necessarily a super set schedule, but you want to be active. So I know we had talked about, because what do you recommend, Jeannie? You recommend to your team?
We usually recommend 2 to 3 times a day, but we try to recommend, with doing that's your Plexus post, but like you were talking about, but we also recommend doing that many at least personal posts, throughout the day as well, if not more. So, like you said, you're not doing full Plexus posts. You're also putting your personal life in there, or, just sharing some funny little happy things throughout the day or whatever. So 2 to 3 times a day is what we recommend, at least once a day. So.
Yeah, stay active. That type of stuff is great, and mixing in personal stuff, I mean, that's all part of it. Sorry. And same thing, on other channels. So Facebook is its own thing, right? And then I know there were some questions about the other channels. What other channels, what other social media networks could you potentially hop on and use actually in a tangible way for your business? The one that I usually recommend for folks is, at this point, is Instagram, for a couple of reasons. So number one, Instagram is owned by Facebook. Not that that's a huge piece of information for what we're trying to do, but just know that. And that's why it's so easy to, when you post to Instagram, you can reshare it to Facebook. That's part of it. You can also do that on Twitter. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, because when you share an Instagram post on Twitter, unless you have something set up a certain way, it's only going to share the link. And on Twitter, most people, if they see a tweet with a link to an Instagram post, they may not click on it. There's a low likelihood that they're going to click on it, as opposed to if the picture's in there. And there's a way that you can do that. It's a little bit more, there's a different platform that you could use, a third platform or third platform you could use to set something like that up. But that's a little different. But Instagram is a really good second option if you're looking for something else besides Facebook. Um, if you're if you're not using Twitter right now, or you haven't really used Twitter before, I wouldn't really recommend trying to jump on Twitter and use that for your business right out of the gate, unless you're prepared to spend the time, really spend the time to learn it. There's a learning curve with Twitter. It's not hard necessarily. It's just there's a kind of a way that you would go about it for your business, because it's really easy just to tweet, hey, we have this and here's my link and buy this and this is awesome. But no one's gonna see it. No one's gonna respond. No one's gonna engage. It's just part of the noise. So it's really kind of a waste of time in that instance, where your time could be better served. Something like Instagram. Instagram is really visual. That's what it's based on. It's visual. It's mobile. It's all this. They have a desktop version, but you can't really do too much on it. It's gotten a little better. But if you go on, on your web browser and type in Instagram.com, you can see some stuff and you can do some searching, but you can't post. So all the posting is done through mobile. It's visual. It's a lot easier to gain exposure because it's your posts, unless you have it set to a private account, your posts are out there, and you can put hashtags on the post and get it so it's included in these in these feeds of hashtags. So for instance, and I know people had asked about the hashtags too. So Instagram is big with hashtags. When you hashtag something like we do, when I post something on Instagram as the company, take Saturday, for example, we were asking people to use the hashtag SuperSat2016. A lot of people did it. It was great. If you go on there now, you can still see the posts. That's one of the great things about Instagram, is you can see that whole feed. And essentially, in a way, it's like its own website. So if you go on Instagram and you search for hashtag SuperSat2016, you're going to see there might be a few mixed in that are not Plexus posts. But for the most part, it's all these Plexus posts from Saturday, from the events around the country and in Canada, and people, driving to the events and driving home from the events, or even just being at home and experiencing it that way and saying what they're seeing, and a lot of the success kits being posted, all that type of stuff. It's great. It's great for us as a company for branding, but it's also great for you as exposure. If someone goes to that hashtag and sees all these posts, and say they also follow you, well, maybe there's a good chance they're going to contact you about whatever. They're going to ask you questions. So it all ties together. The hashtag thing is valuable, but again, it's not the be all and end all. The search function on Instagram is, you can make it so that, or you can search for words that will bring up posts even if they don't have hashtags. So if I didn't put a hashtag in a post from Plexus, but it's got the right words in it, someone searches for Plexus and Plexus is in the post, in the caption, it'll come up. It'll come up somewhere in that search feed. But Instagram is the one that it's the easiest to probably just start to pick up and start using. If you only use Facebook to this point, Instagram, you can just log in, sign up for an account, and then you can post pictures from real time. When you're at an event, take a picture, post it with a caption, some hashtags, or you can upload photos that are just in your phone onto Instagram, onto a post. So that's the one I would say. I usually recommend that one for someone that's looking for a second platform. And I know I've talked to several, even Jules, that they've used Facebook and Instagram, and even Instagram maybe was a bigger business building tool for them.
Okay, good to know.
Sorry to be so long.
No, that's perfect, Vincent. No. That's perfect. And that's what I was kind of going to ask you, kind of answered was what do you recommend posting on Instagram? Because that's myself what I get stuck with, because we try to stay away from, any more of the graphics on Facebook because we scroll by them so much. So I get kind of stuck on what to post on Instagram for my business wise, other than like you said, when we're at Plexus events or that type of stuff. So
here's what I would say. Again, it can be about you, like it doesn't have to be Plexus necessarily. A lot of the stuff on there is just really visually appealing. So if you're somewhere in the sunset, looks great. There's a lot of that type of stuff on there. Food, people post food on there all the time. If you're eating something good and healthy and all that, like, you can post that, and the hashtags that are on there, then someone can see if they're looking for those types of hashtags, they can see all the posts.
Exactly.
One thing, so I use Celeste as an example for Instagram all the time. Celeste Gwynn, right? I'm sure you guys know Celeste. She's been using Instagram. I mean, she's been on it since before I started with the company. She recognized early on, I think, that the power of it and the value in it, along with Facebook for sure, But Instagram, she used Instagram, and what she does is, if you haven't ever looked at her account or her posts, do it tonight. Go on Instagram and just even do a search for hashtag Plexus by Celeste. That's her website. That's her Plexus website, is like plexusbyceleste.com, right? And if you go with that, that's her Plexus website. But because she uses that hashtag on the majority of her posts, I don't know if it's on every single one, but it's on almost all of her posts at the very least. Essentially what she's created is, on Instagram, she has her own presence on Instagram. It's something like 300 posts with that hashtag on it. So if she tells someone, I mean, how easy is it to say, and keep in mind, there's 100 million users on Instagram right now. So there's a good chance that someone's got an Instagram account if you talk to them about it. And if they don't, that's okay, because they can still get to it. If she tells someone, hey, go on Instagram and search for hashtag Plexus by Celeste, brings up this whole feed of all her stuff that's like, it's not, there may be a couple of, say, promos, announcements, that type of thing in there, but the majority of her stuff is not that. It's her life. And now obviously she's a little different than the rest of us. I mean, she's got a zoo on her yard, safari land on her yard, and she goes on these awesome trips and stuff. But I mean, a lot of that is what the opportunity has afforded her to be able to do. Exactly. And that's what people see. That's what people see. They see, oh wow, she just came back from a safari. Like, exactly. What does she do for a living? Mm-hmm. That's what it is. It creates that curiosity. It's that connection too. It's like, oh my God, I gotta see what is all this about? What's her office? With her, is that next to the pool? What? How do I get that type of office? It's that type of stuff, and it's different for everybody. Maybe for you it's not that, but it's something on a lower scale, but it's still very appealing to people. So it's just visual. It's the things that you think are interesting, that you think other people might find interesting, or even if it's just what you find interesting. Like I like socks. I like crazy socks, right? And I buy crazy socks, and so I post crazy socks on there all the time. And as I've gone, I've seen, like, I have all these accounts following me and liking my posts that are from sock companies.
Exactly.
And now that's a different thing. I mean, they may in time send me like a free pair of socks or something, because I'm considered some sort of influencer with an audience of people that like socks like I do.
Totally.
So it's just that type of thing. It's like, find the things that you like, post about them. It doesn't have to be a testimonial all the time. It can be just other stuff.
Exactly. Now, Vincent, good on that. Exactly what you mentioned on the hashtag. That was one of my questions that I was going to ask on Facebook too, because I have one of the GoDaddy URLs. That's rockyourhealthandwealth.com, kind of like Celeste, her Plexus by Celeste. We had a call about that a little bit on the GoDaddy, where you can go to godaddy.com and get your own URL. So one of my questions, Vincent, when you were talking about Instagram, that's what I kind of wanted to know was, does she just do hashtag Plexus by Celeste? So she doesn't do hashtag plexusbyceleste.com and either wrote out or com. I've seen it both ways. She just does it because, a lot of times people will use that so they can click on that hashtag and it takes them right to their website. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what?
Yeah, so she uses both. Again, I don't know if it's on every post, but I've seen her use both. If you click on the hashtag though, it won't, any hashtag you click on Instagram, it won't take you to a website. But what happens is, again, it'll take you to a feed on Instagram that's almost like your own website within Instagram. And then if I go to her profile, if I get on her profile, I haven't looked at it in a while, but I bet she's got her link, her website link in the website spot. And really that's the only profile on Instagram, that's the only clickable thing.
Okay.
So if you, in the website, when you enter in the information about yourself, your name, your bio, whatever you put in the bio, there's a spot for website, and you put your Plexus website in there. If you have something like you have, Jeannie, like, what is it?
Rock Your
Health. Rock Your Health. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you put that in there, that's good. Someone can click on that and get to where you want to send them.
Yeah.
But they don't have to. They can still follow you and not go to that website and until they want to.
Exactly. Okay. So on that same note, Vincent, on Facebook, I've been using that on some of my just general posts too, like nothing about Plexus. I'll put hashtag rockyourhealthandwealth.com, and just so that people, it's kind of just because I know we've heard that Facebook will filter. Of course, we're not supposed to put our websites, and that's what we always preach. Don't put your websites on any posts, with Facebook, to just stay compliant. So, but we've heard the URLs with GoDaddy, you can kind of sneak those in as a hashtag and Facebook won't filter them and kind of kick them out. Is that true? Or do you know if Facebook still kind of kicks them out when you do it?
If it's a hashtag, it's not a website, so it won't, there's nothing for it to really filter. What you're doing is you're having this hashtag that's clickable, and if someone does click on it, it takes that. Even on Facebook, it'll show like this feed of any other posts that have that hashtag in it.
Okay.
So it's really something like that. You're probably the only person that would be using that hashtag. Okay. So again, that's a good way you could send someone to go look at your posts on Facebook, and then from there, maybe they're going to click on your profile to connect, a different way. But yeah, that's your website. Really, whether it's got the URL from Plexus or if it's a different URL, even from GoDaddy, Facebook, the algorithm is really smart. It's really intuitive. It's been ongoing. It's been developed in an ongoing fashion for over 10 years now, and they're constantly making changes and improvements. And Facebook does not want to see like our websites on Facebook. Okay. So a lot of people, don't get me wrong, it's worked for a lot of people, and it could very well continue to work. If I was an ambassador, though, I would just be a little wary. And the way I usually approach it is, the website is my website. To get you to go to my Plexus website, that link is like that's my piece of gold, right? not my hook, but it's valuable to me as the business person. Like, I'm not going to give you the privilege of going to my website until you've shown me that you're actually interested in it. So to just post it on Facebook, and when I say post it on Facebook, I mean really anywhere. Like, I wouldn't put it in most anywhere on Facebook, only because they see it. Even private messages are still Facebook.
Okay.
And Facebook doesn't like our links sometimes. I've seen accounts suspended for potentially that type of a reason. So just be careful about it. I'm not saying don't ever do it, but just be wary of it, because I've definitely seen, among a number of other things that accounts have been suspended for, probably. I've seen that too. So try to get them offline. Try to get them, or off of Facebook at least. Try to get them to an email. Try to get them to a text message where you can send them the link. Any other really, even, if you're able, if you're good with Twitter, even tweeting it to them, or direct message on Twitter, that's better. Just Facebook just is the network marketing industry is not necessarily Facebook's favorite to, at least on personal profiles. On business pages, that's a whole different story. But on personal profiles, they really kind of have it set up in the back end algorithm to, I think, watch for certain things.
Very good, Vincent. That's great. That's awesome info. Also, one question was, do you know of a great app that you can cross share? For example, when you Instagram, can you also share, which we know you can usually share when you post something on Instagram, you can share it through Facebook. But
right.
Question was, is there an app for that will go everywhere for Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google?
Yes.
Okay. What is that?
Yeah. So, well, just to touch on the Instagram thing, I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't necessarily share the Instagram to Twitter, just because the way it shows up, it doesn't show up as the picture. It just shows up as a link to then go to the Instagram account. And a lot of people just are actually that lazy or disinterested. They're not going to even click on the link. They just want to. There's so many pictures that show up in feeds now on Twitter automatically, in videos, that's what everyone's trained to do now, is just see them in the feed. And if there's something to click like that, not a link to an article, but a link to an Instagram, they're not going to bother. Sharing it to Facebook is so personally, like, again, if it was me, here and there, I would use that feature. I wouldn't use it on every post or even on the majority of posts, only because the content, kind of the best approach to these platforms, if you're on multiple platforms, is each audience on each platform is different. And even if it's just small changes here and there, you have to recognize who your audience is on each one, and who the audience is, and tailor your content to those people. So LinkedIn, like, you wouldn't put the same post you would put on Facebook that you would put on LinkedIn. The same topic, same article. On Facebook, you're going to go and post a meme or post a happy Tuesday type of thing, whatever. On LinkedIn, if you do that, like, you're not going to get any responses. You may even get people mad at you because the people on LinkedIn get so mad. They're constantly saying, "Oh, it's just turning into Facebook." Oh, it's thought of as more of like the business networking, professional thought leadership type of thing. Okay. So it's just different audiences. As far as the app, so there's a couple. There's Hootsuite, which probably a lot of you have heard of. Hootsuite is, I want to say that there's a free option that's a little limited. Then they have a cheaper or a less expensive pay version that's like $10 a month or something. Then they have a more expensive one. Hootsuite allows you to post on all different platforms, not every single one, but it allows you to post to several different ones, including groups, including your business page, your personal profile on Facebook, Instagram. Well, not they do Instagram now, I think, but it's a little weird. Hootsuite's one. Buffer is another. Buffer is the one that I use. For $10 a month, Buffer, I have like 10 accounts I can post to, and again, I can tailor the content to each one, or I can send the exact same thing to all of them. I don't usually do that. It's got some intuitiveness that helps you along. But I personally, I like Buffer, and they both have an app, but I like Buffer better because of the app that they have on the phone, where I open the app and click, and I can tweet things and load things from feeds and blogs and things like that. The other one, the last one that I would say to check out, because I've heard about it a lot from even Jules and other ambassadors. I don't know the history, but I feel like for some reason maybe it was designed by someone that was a network marketer. It's called TinyTorch, and TinyTorch it gained some popularity, I know, last year among a lot of folks. There's some folks that swear by it, some ambassadors, even Jules, that swear by it. I kind of checked it out a little bit. It wasn't really for me, but I think it's more because I've been using Buffer so much, I'm probably more biased than just used to it. But TinyTorch is one to check out too. It lets you do some additional things. None of them let you post every single platform, only because Instagram doesn't allow every single tool to access it and be able to do that. Pinterest is the same way. They're very kind of stringent on what apps they give access to, and for that purpose.
Okay, perfect, Vincent. Awesome. That's huge. Okay. Do you have any other specifics you want to cover, Vincent, or do you want me to see if anybody has any questions, follow up on that, on any of that stuff that you have said? Or I think we kind of covered. Go ahead, Vincent.
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as specifics, I just along the lines of kind of a strategy, just don't always go for the hard sell. Don't constantly push all that stuff out there, because you may get some, or you will get some low-hanging fruit here and there, but it's just not, it's social media, it's not business media. It's meant to be a place for people to connect, socially, and then that relationship develops, and then as a result of that, some business might come out of it. I mean, that happens for me all the time. I talk to people. In fact, the platform that we use at Plexus, that it's not super expensive, but it costs a decent amount of money for measuring some social media analytics and marketing analytics. We bought it because I talked to someone on Twitter one time, or a couple of times, and we established that connection, and then I got a demo of it, and it came from social media initially, but it wasn't like he was like, oh, you should buy this, or you should check this out. It was because we were in the same place at the same time, and we connected on the same level with a common interest, and we're naturally looking at what each other does. And I was like, oh, what's that tool that you guys offer? Because I'm looking for something like that for the company. And it just naturally happened.
Awesome. Good point, Vincent. Yep. Building relationships is huge. So I agree. Do you guys, if anybody wants to unmute themselves, does anybody have a question they want to ask Vincent on anything he covered, or anything else you can think of on social media? If anybody has any, please unmute yourself and ask him while we have him here before we let him get away.
And I see Tina put something in the chat too. I don't know if you want to start with that, but about the business pages.
Can you share a bit of info?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Tina. Go ahead, Tina.
We just wanted to know if you we just would like to know if you'd share a little bit about the business pages.
Yeah, just what you know.
Yeah, just what you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I at this point, in where Facebook is, especially with network marketers, I would highly recommend. And again, if I was an ambassador, I would make sure not only to have my personal profile on Facebook, but I would also set up a business page. The business pages allow you to do some different things on Facebook than your personal profile does, and also the way that Facebook reads it, they're not as tight as far as like suspending accounts. Let's say if you're doing business on your business page, they get mad when you're doing business and sales on your personal profile, and it picks up on it. But if you're on a business page, it's different because that's what they want. They want business to be done from those pages. When your website, that's really the only place that your Plexus website is essentially safe, if you will, is in the website info section on a business page. That seems to be okay in their mind. And from there, you can do posts and do different things, but it also, the biggest thing is the analytics that it provides you. So once you get an audience on that business page, so our company page, which is facebook.com/PlexusSlim, that's our company page, our official one that I manage regularly. We have about 159,000 followers. They're not all ambassadors. It's people, whatever. I mean, it's whoever wants to follow the page. There's analytics on the page. There's a tab called Insights that when I click on that, I can see all the stats, all the analytics on posts, on our audience, on when our followers there are mostly online, which would tell me when's the best time maybe to post from that page. There's a lot of information, like what are the best performing posts, and from that I can see, okay, well, since this video did great and it was this long and it had this topic, well, maybe we want to do something else along those lines. That type of information that's key. That's key for your marketing efforts. So I would highly recommend getting a business page and starting to use that alongside whatever else you're doing.
Perfect. Thanks, Vincent. One thing we found, I quit using my business page probably 2 years ago, just because I was not getting the views, because it was not
right
up in people's news feed. I was not getting anybody. So we found, just going to our personal profile, and making smart posts was much more effective on getting our friends to ask about Plexus, because that business page was not getting. The good thing about the business page was we could send people there that we necessarily didn't want to be friends with, maybe on Facebook, or we weren't sure about them, as far as inviting them to see our posts. But also I've had some other people that have liked that page that I have no idea who they are. Possibly they could be an ambassador, maybe they aren't. That's been a big thing, but it's the views on, I got down to where it was so minimal. So I don't work it anymore.
Yeah, that's totally common. Over the last, say, year, 2 years, Facebook has really, really limited what's called the reach of those pages. It used to be, even when it was quote unquote good, it was still only 13 to 15% of your followers on that page. So it wasn't, 100% of your followers weren't seeing all your posts all the time, even when it was allegedly good. Now, it's all the way down to something like 2%. And that's organic reach. So that's, if you're not paying for any ads or anything, you just put a post on your page. Right now, 2 to 3% of the followers of that page generally are going to see what that post is. Now, that being said, it depends on the content, depends on if it's something good, that's interesting. It depends on how those people have engaged with your page before. There's ways to get it seen more. There's just ways to get it seen more. So if you post on your page, and I saw someone ask about fan pages, business pages are now, they used to be, people used to call them fan pages, and they're just called business pages now. So it's the same thing. It's all it is you can't friend a business page. You have to follow it. You have to like it and follow it to see the posts. There's a couple things. There's one, you can share your business page post to your personal profile so that your personal network sees it and potentially likes, comments, and shares it. You can tell people, tell them once a month, tell your personal network and link to the page and say, hey guys, it'd be awesome if you go follow my page. And when they go and like it or comment it or share it, then their network is exposed to it. And maybe there's people in there that you don't even know. And now those are potential ambassadors or customers. There's an option called See First. No one may do it, but you can throw it out there every once in a while. There's a little button on where the cover photo is that you can click on the button. There's an option there called See First. If you tell people about that and say, hey, if you like what I'm posting on my page, go to here, click this button, See First. What that means is when I'm on Facebook, if I have See First marked on your page, I literally will see that first in my feed every time I open Facebook, whatever your post was or your most recent post. So that's a way to get around that algorithm if someone does that. Now, is someone going to do it? Who knows? But there's the chance if you at least tell them how to do it. Putting your page on your marketing materials, on your business card, the URL, marketing it outside of Facebook. There's all those different ways. Like if you can treat it as another, really a website. That's how you should approach it. Your Plexus website, you have some limitations as far as what you put on there, right? You're picking from different options and things. Your Facebook page, you're limited in a way just because it's essentially a template, but you can put whatever you want in the posts. You can upload a video to there, and videos, native video on Facebook does really well. Facebook favors native video over a YouTube link. So if all things being equal, if you take a link from YouTube to a video you want people to see, say it's the product video, you post that on your page, or you take a video with your phone and upload it directly to Facebook from your phone. That video from your phone that's uploaded directly will get way more attention because Facebook favors that native video, and you'll see the view numbers too. It'll tell you how many views it had. Now, take those with a grain of salt, because a view is, if I'm scrolling through my feed and a video starts to autoplay, that's considered a view. But I still saw it. I did see it. So whether I watched it all the way through or not, it's considered a view. But at least you have some idea of, did it get 100 views or did something get a couple thousand views? If it got a couple thousand views, that means they shared it. They did something with it.
For that. Okay. And one thing I wanted to bring up on that, Vincent, correct me if I'm wrong too, because on the business pages over a year ago, 2 years ago, one reason we stopped was because we have to be super compliant on the business pages with if we share a testimony, it can only be a testimony, of course, of, like our weight loss, our blood sugar issues, cholesterol, discomfort, anything like that. It cannot be a testimony that mentions any other, health issue that we cannot talk about, on Plexus other than it's in a testimony. So everything we post on our business page has to be very, very, very compliant. I know that's one reason we got limited too on posting on our business pages.
Yeah, really everything you post, there's that compliance issue. The thing is, even if it's on your personal profile, because you're posting on your personal profile with other Plexus things, that's in like the FTC's eyes, let's say, that's not really that different from posting on a business page. Maybe Facebook sees it differently. Maybe compliance sees it differently. But it's still like the same type of thing where you're associating yourself with Plexus, and then you're also associating it with like a claim of some sort, and those two things can't go together.
Exactly. And that's why we took all of the testimonies, from the Plexus Journeys page, which is our compliant approved, testimonies to post. So that, and I know there's the little compliant thing too that we can put now at the bottom. So, but that was another thing I wanted to bring up on the business pages. I know that was another.
Yeah. Well, and the compliance thing is, the compliance thing is the whole, that's going to get a lot of attention this year, just so you know. Yeah, that's a huge topic that will get attention soon. We started to put some stuff out about that right before the back office transition. It was called the Plexus Way. If you ever saw it, there was like 2 emails. One was like a teaser for the following email. Then the following email just kind of explained generally what the Plexus Way was going to be. And then there was a whole series that was coming out after that was the focus became so much on the back office that we had to just put it by the wayside just for a little bit. It's not that it's not important, because it's of ultimate importance. Absolutely. In all honesty. But it's coming, and there's some other stuff along those lines coming.
Okay. Awesome. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Vincent. I'll let you get back to your family, because we sure appreciate you being on here tonight more than you know, and helping all of us, and shedding some light on some of those other social media things that we don't have any idea about. I learned a lot. I took a lot of notes. So I appreciate it, Vincent. So
yeah, no, listen, my pleasure. Anytime, if you guys have any other questions, just either send them to me or post them, whatever you need. That's what I'm here for. So
okay, well, thanks, Vincent. Like I said, we appreciate you taking the time out from your family to visit with us. So
yeah, my pleasure.
Again, thank you. And everybody, thank you guys so much for calling in tonight. And I'll make sure and post a recording for all those that couldn't get on. But thank you guys so much for taking time out to be on here with Vincent and hear his amazing and awesome advice and suggestions for us. So everybody enjoy their night, and we will be talking to you guys soon. So